Today, I'm boarding one of Australia's most historic trains, the Overland, for a full-day journey from Melbourne to Adelaide. First launched in 1887, this service has seen over a century of change and nearly disappeared in recent years. Now running just twice a week, it's a rare chance to experience old-school rail travel across 2 states. From vintage carriages to scenic countryside, let's see what this 828-kilometre ride has to offer. The good, the bad, and everything in between. Welcome to NB Flyer, and let's take off together. Good morning from Melbourne. I'm here at Southern Cross Station. But today, instead of hopping on the airport bus, I'm boarding the Overland train to Adelaide. If you're making the full journey from Melbourne to Adelaide, you can check in your large luggage before departure. But before we dive into the ride itself, let's pause for a bit to explore the history of this train and how much it costs to travel. From Southern Cross Station, you can catch both the XPT to Sydney and the Overland to Adelaide. These intercity trains typically depart from platforms 1 and 2. Today, I'm taking you on a ride through history, aboard the Overland, one of Australia's oldest interstate trains. It began service in 1887 as the Adelaide Express, connecting Melbourne and Adelaide, and was renamed the Overland in 1926. For decades, it was a popular overnight train, offering sleeper cabins and scenic views. These days, the Overland runs twice a week in each direction as a daylight journey, with comfortable seating and picturesque views across Victoria and South Australia. If you appreciate slow travel, it's definitely an experience worth having. There are 2 seating classes, the Red Standard, similar to economy class, and the Red Premium, closer to business class. I booked my Red Standard ticket nearly 6 weeks in advance for $145 Australian. Just before the scheduled departure, the staff made an announcement. The train required some urgent minor repairs due to technical glitches. After a delay of nearly 45 minutes, a diesel locomotive finally pulled the train into the platform. It still needed to be switched before the journey to Adelaide could begin. Considering the age of these carriages, they're from the same era as my dad. A few hiccups are to be expected. These retro carriages from the 1960s and early 70s are really something. Reinforcing steel bars add to their character. For comparison, most of China Railway's early 1990s general speed carriages have already been retired. Riding the Overland felt like stepping back in time. Boarding finally began after about an hour's delay. Here's the seating in the Red Standard cabin. It's a 2-2 layout and reminds me of the older business class seats on narrow-body airliners. Essentially, large comfy sofas. The seat pitch is generous, roughly 40 to 42 inches, plenty of room to stretch your legs. Overhead, there are open luggage racks and air conditioning vents. Each seat has a small table stowed in the armrest. To use it, you'll need to lift the flap and pull it out with a bit of force. The train eventually departed Southern Cross Station, beginning its 828-kilometre journey to Adelaide. Soon after departure, we veered onto a freight-only section of track, where rows of stationary freight wagons lined the route. The train didn't seem to have much priority on the line and made several unscheduled stops in Melbourne's western suburbs. The washroom, located within the carriage, is surprisingly spacious and was clean throughout the trip. As the train stops at many towns and villages along the route, occupancy remained consistently high. Our first scheduled stop was North Shore, on the edge of Geelong. It's a station shared with V-Line intercity trains to Geelong and Warrnambool Bull. After leaving, the Overland turned onto the Western Standard gauge line. Passengers in Red Standard seats must pay extra for food and drinks. The cafe in the carriage ahead was closed, so I walked to the one at the back of Red Premium. The track quality left much to be desired. The train rocked and bumped like a theme park ride, which is rare on Chinese railways. The Overland's cafe offers desserts, sandwiches, pre-packed meals, drinks, ice cream, snacks, and alcohol. Freshly brewed coffee is also available. Payment is card only, no cash accepted. Pricing was actually quite reasonable. A boxed lunch with a can of soft drink was $12 Australian. comparable to supermarket prices. I ordered the pad thai. It wasn't bad at all. Chinese Railways dining cars tend to serve hot meals too. Outside, the train rolled through the Victorian countryside, flanked by endless wheat fields. Once we left the populated zones, mobile signal became spotty. Even Telstra struggled. A little over 2 hours in, we reached Ararat, a town 200 kilometres west of Melbourne and the terminus for V-Line's Ararat line. The station itself celebrates its 150th anniversary this year, though it experienced a near decade-long closure around the turn of the century. There are only a few power outlets on board, mainly at the carriage ends and in the cafe. A high-capacity power bank is a smart idea. The train passed through towns like Stawell, Horsham, Dimboola and Nil, all once served by V-Line intercity trains. Crossing into South Australia, I realised that without the Overland, I probably wouldn't have seen this remote stretch of Western Victoria at all. I spotted a switchboard inside the train, and wow, it was vintage. As night fell, we crossed the Murray River and stopped at Murray Bridge, the second to last station before Adelaide. Since it was Easter Sunday, the crew handed out freshly toasted hot cross buns as we approached our destination. A lovely touch. Finally, at 8 p.m, we arrived at Adelaide's Parklands terminal, home to Journey Beyond's long-distance services. Coming from a country with advanced rail infrastructure, I might be a bit harsh, but my experience on the Overland was mixed. The good, spacious, comfy seats, plenty of legroom, clean and roomy toilets, helpful crew with timely announcements about stops and towns. The not so good. The track condition was rough, resulting in a bumpy ride. The carriages are old and wobbly. Walking around or drinking hot liquids requires caution. Mobile signal is weak for much of the journey. The cafe's stock was limited and nearly empty after entering South Australia. Food was pre-made and tasted average. At 145 Australian dollars, the fare is comparable to flying, and I wouldn't spend a full day on the road again unless I was chasing the experience. Thanks for watching my review of the Overland. By the way, my mate Nick is flying home with his Chinese passport for the last time on Cathay Pacific next week as his Australian citizenship application is about to be finalised. After that, he'll be heading to Japan on JAL before flying back to Australia with Cathay. Thank you for joining me. See you in the next video.